so the contents are clearly visible. Exactly, so there was no need to search the lady's handbag. If there had been a gun inside, it would have been immediately obvious. Ah! As you can see, there's nothing to imply Miss Brett's guilty. Thank you for the helping to provide that, Naruhodo-san. Oh! Scheiße. Order! Order! Inspector Hosonaga, you will submit that print as evidence at once. Entschuldigung. Ich war kurz abgelenkt. Certainly, Your Excellency. The photograph of the handbag has been entered into the court record. A photograph taken by Hosonaga-san after the incident occurred. It shows Miss Brett's handbag on a chair by the victim's table. I think you've had long enough to cross-examine the witness, counsel. Oh shit. The court has now been shown considerable evidence, as the photographic print just submitted into the court record appears to have no further significance. I am satisfied that there is no longer any room for doubt in this matter, and I must make my ruling. Indeed, and there is only one logical conclusion, that the pathetic rookie slumped over the bench before us is the only way possible perpetrator of this crime. No. Just when I thought I was beginning to turn things around. I'm in a worse situation than I was at the start. Oh, Kazuma ist auch. Kazuma? I'm sorry, Ryunosuke. Now that the cross-examination of the witness is over, there's no way to force the trial to continue. What? You mean this is it? I must say you put up quite a fight for a rookie student. But the weak are meat while the strong eat. You are wasting your time. There's no way to defeat true justice. A fact you can chew onto your heart's content from the inside of your cell. Na, immerhin keine Todesstrafe. This can't be happening. Am I really going to be found guilty of a crime that I didn't commit? And Kazuma. His dreams of going to study in Great Britain will slip through his fingers. Kazuma. What? Is there really no chance now of turning this trial around? You heard the judge. There's nothing about that last photograph the detective produced that we can contest. Which means there's no basis on which we can argue for the trial to continue. Very well. I will now proceed immediately to the ruling. It seems we will be able to report to the British government on time after all. That smug little... Ryunosuke Naruhodo, having considered all of the evidence placed before me, I hereby...
Yes!
Wait! Your Excellency! Ryunosuke? I don't think you can rule on this case yet.
Objection!
This amateurishness is getting tedious. When His Excellency deems that the trial is over, he gives his ruling. That is the most basic protocol of the courtroom.
Yes!
Your Excellency, just a moment ago you said this. As the photographic print just submitted appears to have no further significance. There is no longer any room for doubt in this matter, and I must make my ruling. Now that means that if there was a problem with the evidence, some significant detail I mean, then ruling on the case at this time would be out of the question.
Objection!
This is blatant straw clutching. Look at this photographic print. All it shows is the handbag the gentlewoman was carrying on the day in question. Ja, aber der Fleck. There can be no problem with this evidence. You'd better know what you're doing, Ryunosuke. I understand your objection, counsel. Certainly, the new evidence submitted by the detective has not undergone the court's scrutiny. However, I fail to see how we can glean any new information from the sandbag. Ha! My thoughts exactly. Really, the prosecution is becoming tired of the Swookie's desperate wheezes. Yes, I am desperate, but this isn't a wheeze. There's something about this photograph which just doesn't seem right. If only I could put my finger on it. Very well. I will grant the defense one final opportunity. Okay, letzte Chance. What? But be warned that if I'm unsatisfied by your response here, the trial will be over with immediate effect. Wie er den Hammer schlägt. Okay, speichern wir nochmal. Okay. Sicherheitshalber. Do I make myself clear? Yes, Your Excellency. So, take another look at the photographic print Inspector Hosonaga submitted before. You will identify for the court where this print receives the significant detail to which you have alluded. Here.
Yes!
Look at this here. There's a very unusual mark on the victim's wrist. That is true. It looks almost like a burn of some description.
Objection!
Dear me, I was pondering what new pithy you would come out with. A burn, you say? On the victim's wrist. Ach, das ist eine Verbrennung. Clearly that has nothing whatsoever to do with the significant lady's handbag. Yes, there is a burn mark, you're right. Go on, Inspector. The police coroner also noticed it when he was performing the post-mortem examination. Corona. Hört sich ja fast so an wie ein Virus. Corona ist Gerichtsmediziner. Oh, it was deemed unrelated to the cause of death, so he didn't note it in his report. What did I tell you? In any case, we have no idea when the victim suffered this burn, do we? And no possible way of knowing either. The more I look at it, the more I find myself intrigued by the curious shape of this mark. However, as Prosecutor Auchi points out, unless a firm connection to the case can be shown, I cannot allow any further time to be spent on the precise details of this burn. Haben wir irgendwo eine Connection? Ach lol. Finger bullet fired close range. No, bullet did not pass through the body. Okay, das kennen wir ja alle schon. Haben wir hier irgendwas? Hier auch nicht. Waiters Business Card. Hier ist auch nichts mit dem Polen drauf. Hier auch nicht. Oder? Nee, hier auch nicht. Okay. Excuse me, Your Excellency. It would seem Miss Brett has a lunch appointment with the Dean and other university staff. She would like to know if she may be excused from the stand now. Oh, of course, dear lady. We shan't hold you up any longer. I'm quite sure His Excellency is about to give his final ruling anyway. What's your thinking on this, Rionosuke? Do you believe this burn does have something to do with this case? To be honest, I'm not really sure. But if I don't keep pushing, then it's all over. So I was thinking I should keep digging and digging, in the hope that I might uncover something useful. Yes, you're right. I am? If we can just link that burn to the case. If we can do that, we might be able to pry the shutting door back open again. Oh, Entschuldigung. Ich war die ganze Zeit nicht sichtbar. Es tut mir leid. Wieso war ich nicht sichtbar? Seit wann war ich nicht sichtbar? Entschuldigung. Just give up, Counsel. You can't possibly hope to do that. Ich muss echt den Hotkey umlegen. Indeed, I'm afraid that without evidence, I can't allow you to pursue what is little more than conjecture. But if we had evidence that irrefutably linked the burn on the victim's wrist to the case, then you would allow it? I would, yes. To tell the truth, I hadn't noticed that burn. But as soon as you pointed it out, what I did notice was the color draining from Miss Brett's face. Really? I have to find some link between the burn and the case. Whew, okay. This is a moment of truth. It's time to find some evidence that proves what that burn really means. So then, the defense will now present its evidence to the court. The evidence that demonstrates an inextricable connection between the victim's burn and this trial. Speichern. Das ist unsere Marke, aber da ist ja nichts drauf. Postmortem. Male British. Oh Gott. Vieles Zeichen. Ich habe keine Ahnung. Kitchen. Was war das? Entrance. Nein! Stopp! Okay. Ja, den Dialog kannten wir mit der Kitchen, das mir merkwürdig geschrieben ist. Oh! Da! Seht ihr das? Hier! Auf der Steakplatte. Da hat der Steak doch gegessen?
Yes!
What's this, Counsel? Yet another print. Yes, Your Excellency. I believe photographic prints are an amazing invention. Er hat den rechten Arm runterhängen lassen. Okay. Den rechten Arm runterhängen lassen. Das sah man auf dem Foto. Und rechten hat er das Messer gehalten. Und das war ja auch rechts das Zeichen. When we humans look at a scene, we miss things. But in the photograph, things we may have overlooked at the time are recorded forevermore. Tuhaoyapuki, what are you trying to say? To inconvenience this poor lady any further really would be quite inexcusable. Actually, we may need you to stay with us a little longer, if you don't mind, Miss Brett. You see, it's very clearly visible in this other photograph. How did the victim come to have that unusually shaped burn on his wrist? The reason is recorded here forevermore. What? How?
Objection!
You can't fool me with your little bluffs, boy. If that's your game, then let's see how it plays out. Show the court exactly what you mean. What is it in this photograph that explains the reason for the victim's burn? Ich find's auch lustig, dass Ryonosuke bei jeder Sache Yes sagt, statt Take that oder Objection oder Hold it, sondern immer nur Yes!
Yes!
The beefsteak? Actually, the point is the metal plate the steak was served on. The plate? Your Excellency, are you alright? As you can see, there's an emblem on the plate. I would suggest some sort of trademark of La Carnival. This emblem on the plate and the victim's burn are exactly the same shape. Ah! Ryonosuke, you genius! You're spot on. Which means the victim must have suffered this burn while he was present at the restaurant.
Objection!
But even if that's the case, we can't know if it happened on the day in question or not. It could have been the day before, or the day before that. It most likely happened at some other, unrelated time. Well,
Objection!
Sadly, Prosecutor Ouchie, the chances of that are extremely slim. Thanks. Why? The outline of the burn is clearly discernible. Such a serious injury would have caused quite a commotion in the restaurant. Wouldn't you agree, Inspector Hosonaga? I can't imagine having missed such a terrible disaster, certainly. But I would say, looking at the picture of the wound, that it wasn't suffered very long ago. And although it's not a particularly large burn, it's extremely well defined, as the defense just pointed out. This was no mild burn, that's for sure. Can you be more specific, Inspector? Well, let's see. If the plate was at around 90 degrees centigrade, a burn like that would have taken around 3 seconds. It's inconceivable that the victim wouldn't have let out a scream of pain. I've been investigating at the restaurant for several weeks already, but I've not heard anyone scream at all. As the head waiter of La Carnival, I can testify to that without hesitation. But you're a detective, not a waiter!
Yes!
There you have it. Something isn't right here. As the detective said, anyone who burns himself on a piping hot plate for 3 whole seconds would scream in pain. There's no question of that. And yet Inspector Hosonaga never heard the professor scream. Not on that day or any before it. That's right. And the strange thing is, on the day he was shot, I didn't hear him cry out either. What are you suggesting? Oh. Well, if the professor had carelessly laid his wrist on the plate for anything like 3 seconds that day, that would be beyond careless, I think, Counsel. Then the rest of us in the restaurant, myself, the sergeant and the old antiques dealer, all of us would, without any question, have heard him scream. Wouldn't you agree, Prosecutor Ouchie? Well, yes, I suppose. So the question is, why didn't a single person hear Dr. Wilson scream? I almost don't believe it, Ryonosuke. Do you think... Can it really be true? I never dreamt we'd arrive at a conclusion like this, but I'm starting to think that maybe we've been led into a terrible trap. War die Todesursache was anderes? There's only one explanation I can think of to make sense of this apparent impossibility. On the day in question, when he suffered the burn to his wrist, Dr. Wilson was already deceased. Vielleicht, ja? No man could remain silent while his wrist was burning on a piping hot plate for 3 whole seconds. war schon tot. That's clearly impossible, apart from in one particular situation. Counsel, are you suggesting? Yes, it's only possible if the man was already dead. Already dead? Knowing what we know now, it's the only possible explanation. When the beefsteak was brought to Dr. Wilson's table that day, the professor was already dead. That's madness! That's Sparta, my friend. Order, please! Council, explains this absurd notion at once. The victim was killed by a gunshot? A gunshot. That's right. That's absolutely right, Your Excellency. This is just another ridiculous ploy by the rookie student. But clearly he has no grasp of the fact.
Objection!
No, Prosecutor Ouchie. It's you who has no grasp of the fact. I beg your pardon? As soon as it became apparent that the victim had suffered that burn while at the restaurant, this whole case was turned upside down. Or have you not grasped that yet? Your Excellency, the court must hear from this witness again. If it's true, as we now believe, that the victim was already dead before the gunshot was heard, it's highly likely that Miss Brett knows something about it. Incredible. I certainly didn't anticipate this twist of events. Ich auch nicht. I'm sorry to say, Miss Brett, that you will have to forget your luncheon engagement. But, Your Excellency, the justice system in our country may be in its infancy, but rest assured, all reasonable doubt must be dispelled before I am prepared to pass judgment. Thank you, Your Excellency. What was that smile? Yes, of course. Of course? I mean, I'd be delighted to help. Sie kann Englisch. Japanisch meine ich. Ja, unsere Sprache. Especially if it helps relations between my country and yours. Ah, Miss Brett. You speak Japanese? Well, of course I do. I'm studying in your country after all. But then, why have you been speaking through an interpreter until now? My mother tongue, the Queen's English, is the most refined and elegant language in the world. As a gentlewoman, I try to avoid speaking in your vulgar tones as much as possible. Die vulgären Töne der Japaner, man kennt sie. But it seems the men in this land possess none of the chivalrous virtues of English gentlemen. So I can see that I shall have to lower myself to communicating with you all on your own level. Oh, well, you are the epitome of a true English gentlewoman. We are truly honored by this lavish consideration you so graciously afford us. I see. In that case, Miss Brett, I will now ask you to testify in your own words. About the events leading up to the death of the victim, Dr. Wilson. So, we are finally going to hear her own words on the matter. Things are getting interesting, Rionosuke. Und things können auch gerne mal enden. Wir haben es 3:18 Uhr. The victim's death. Unfortunately, I have no idea when the poor man burned his wrist like that. Okay, das ist jetzt das Allegro-Theme vom Cross-Examination. Ich kenne jemanden, der könnte das als Klingelton nehmen. Unfortunately, I have no idea when the poor man burned his wrist like that. When the waiter brought my steak, the professor and I raised our glasses in the toast. As far as I've heard, the post-mortem report showed no other possible cause of death besides the gunshot. If there's some other way a man's life can be taken without leaving a trace, please, do show me. But of course, this country's inferior investigative techniques probably wouldn't pick up on it anyway. Okay. That most captivating and beautiful testimony will go down in the Supreme Court's history. Thank you. Easy does it. I hope that it's the last time I will have to sully my lips with the coarse tones of your unbecoming tongue. Oh, forgive me. I do hope I haven't insulted anyone. Not at all, not at all. It is a delight merely to hear you speak, dear lady. And it seems very clear from your testimony that this boorish talk of the victim's burn is utterly irrelevant. I will be speaking to your country's Minister of Justice about what has happened here today. The Minister of Justice? May that irritating little bully of a student be given the harsh punishment possible, the harshest. Amen. Huh? Thanks? Was it a prayer then? Well, you have to forgive the irritation, Miss Brett, and put up with the cross-examination now. I expect you've noticed that this little bully of a student, as you put it, doesn't miss much. I'm sure I don't need to remind you, Counselor, that this will be your final cross-examination in this trial. Okay, es findet langsam ein Ende. Also es ist nice, aber ich möchte auch bald ins Bett. If you fail to demonstrate any problems with this witness testimony, I will be ruling on the case immediately. Is that clear? Der übliche Ace Attorney Druck, würde ich mal sagen. Okay. Okay, alles klar. Yes, Your Excellency. Then you may proceed with the cross-examination. Cooler move here, Maske. The victim's death. Record save. Okay. Unfortunately, I have no idea when the poor man burned his wrist like that.
Yes!
But his hand was on the searing hot plate for at least 3 whole seconds. You can't not have noticed. Do you think so? Let me ask you something. Zoe? Ever since I arrived at this courtroom, and even still now, the fly on those unsightly black trousers of yours has been wide open. You can't not have noticed, can you? Huh? What? Ah! Ha! What fun! Okay, dein Hosenstall ist offen oder was? You hadn't realized. The dear lady is absolutely right. As your friend, you've embarrassed me as well as yourself, Rionosuke. Why didn't you tell me? Dr. Wilson was a true English gentleman. He chose honorable silence over a vulgar scream. Can your tiny brains imagine such a thing? Oh yes, I think my tiny brain can.
Yes!
Well, I can. Warte mal. The Fly. Also, was ist Hosenstall? Fly, ja. Okay, der Hosenstall war offen. Als ob. Also, und was können wir imagine? Achso, er hat ehrenhafte, stille, über vulgäre Schreie bevorzugt. Well, I can. Anyway. When the waiter brought my steak, the professor and I raised our glasses in a toast.
Yes!
As you testified before, you were drinking carbonated water. Is that right? Dr. Wilson was only permitted to drink water at the time, if you remember. Which explains why he ordered that drink. Correct, waiter? Exactly as you say, sir. Although? Whether or not the professor actually drank any of this water when I delivered the steak to the table, I'm afraid I don't remember that. Damn you. Ah, I have enough English to understand that at least. For the benefit of others in the court. It means bless you. Damn you means bless you. Yes, genau. I think it means the exact opposite. Anyway. As far as I've heard, the post-mortem report showed no other possible cause of death besides the gunshot.
Yes!
Yes, it's written here in the paperwork. Fatal hemorrhage from ballistic trauma. Yes. Luckily for all of us, a little burn on the wrist isn't going to kill us. And as there were no other signs of trauma in the victim's body to indicate some other cause of death, it can only have been the bullet from your gun that put an end to this innocent man's life. But it doesn't make sense. The burn must have happened straight away, when the plate was first brought to the table by the waiter. Yes, that's true. If it had cooled even slightly, it wouldn't have been able to make a burn like that. And if the victim burned his wrist on the hot plate as soon as it was brought out from the kitchen, then he must have already been dead at that point.
Attention!
And yet, the fact is that the victim was killed by a gunshot to the chest. Until you are able to show the court evidence to prove that, this is a complete waste of time. I concur. Prosecutor Ouchie is right. Ark. If there's some other way a man's life can be taken without leaving a trace, please do show me.
Yes!
Without leaving a trace. If someone is shot, or strangled, or stabbed, or thrown from a height, however a person's life is taken, there's always little telltale traces on the body. Quite right, dear lady. And as our police force has thoroughly examined the body of the deceased, there can be no doubt. Isn't that right, Inspector Hosonaga? As I've said, I've always aimed for a flawless investigation. There would be physical traces with all those causes of death, that's true. But maybe there's some other way of killing someone that doesn't leave a mark. If, heaven forbid, you doubt me, young man, you're going to have to tell everyone how exactly you think the professor did lose his life. Otherwise, I'm afraid your argument falls rather flat, doesn't it? Oh no, perish the thought. Calling such a sweet young lady's innocence into question? On my honor, I, Taketsuchi Ouchie, will cut down any who dares cast such aspersions. A way of killing someone that leaves no trace. We need some evidence to back us up here. Yes, evidence. But of course, this country's inferior investigators probably wouldn't pick up on it anyway. Was haben wir denn? Das Glas, maybe? Vielleicht ist da irgendwas. Ich speichere mal. Boah, sieht man mir an, dass ich müde bin? Ich glaube schon, ne? Quarantine for the web.
Yes!
Okay. Das war's nicht. Dann loaden wir mal. Okay. Dann das hier?
Yes!
Nein, auch nicht. Okay. Bisschen lost gerade. Dann pressen wir nochmal das letzte Statement.
Yes!